on the road heading down to Melbourne. Just left Wollongong, heading down to Melbourne. Check out the scene down in Melbourne. It's raining. It's a cool, great day to drive because it's so wet. It's raining. It's comfortable to drive down this way, especially in the rain. But you can see we haven't had rain in a while. Look at all the, it's just so dry. All the grass is all yellow. It's straw. Straw grass there. But it is beautiful. Beautiful countryside. Can't see much of it now because I'm in a gully. But gee, it is nice. It's beautiful. Beautiful countryside. Not many people on the road. Got a checkpoint coming up any minute now. I was going to record it just to see what happened. It might turn pear-shaped if I record them. The Gestapo. So yeah, got a few opportunities down here. Might do the same thing I do in every town. Cut some meat. Give me some money to put back into the stock market. And plan my escape. Beautiful countryside. A lot of cows, a lot of beef. A lot of beef around. That's the usual cars you see in Australia. Everyone buys these four-wheel drives. Yeah. Cheaper, these things, pumping around. None of them are made in Australia. All of them are made overseas, flown in, shipped in. It's the problem with Australia. Nothing's made here anymore. We're just following America, where nothing's made here. Everything comes from China, and then we're trying to like play up about it, like, oh, China owns us. All they do is they take all our resources, we give them our oil, we even give them our milk and our cheese and that, and they sell it back to us. They get all our coal, they get everything from us. They reap, basically that side of the world hasn't got natural resources, so they take all our natural resources and they sell it back to us, and we wonder why our economy and everything's so shit. Maybe because there's record unemployment because there's no jobs around. The only jobs that are around are government-funded jobs, which are basically taxpayers pay the government, and then the government creates an industry like roads and things, and says, or buildings and stuff, and creates work for the people. But then it's you really get nowhere when you're mortgaging the work, you know. That's what this beautiful country, so like, so amazing. Like, look at all this beef. With all this beef around, this is only a small amount of it, obviously, because we're driving by. But I mean, you'd think that our beef would be cheap for the community to buy, but Australians can't even afford meat these days. It's too expensive because we send it all overseas. Well, I mean, it doesn't, most of these countries that we're sending it overseas to, they're not even, it's not even Australian company that's actually manufacturing all the beef and sending it overseas. They're basically, it's a Chinese company sending it to China. So it only helps the people that are employed in the company. and they're not getting rich and famous off it, mate. They're barely scraping by. So basically, countries are a thing of the past. With globalism, we call this place Australia, but it's not really Australia anymore. It's fucking, you know, if you tally up who owns the place, you can't call it Australia anymore. No, Australians don't own this place. They don't own the resources. They don't own anything. It's not, you can't, like, having a country and calling it a name, honestly, it's a thing of the past. You know what I mean? It's like you're living in the past. You're like, you gotta, you know, this is the country formerly known as Australia. You know what I mean? The land is Australian, but it's not owned by Australia anymore. It's owned by every other globalist who just uses it to fund their own expedition. So you better see it while it's here. And what I'm doing is I've got a bit of time on my hands, seeing as every time I go to see my daughter they try to arrest me. I haven't really broken any crimes, but the actual crime takes place when I go and see her. I'm not breaking the law until I go and see her, and then they come with all their cameras and they want me to break the law. You're breaking the law right now. No, I'm not. There is no law in place. You're making an incident. This is the law. You're trying to create incident where I get arrested. That's why it's like, you know, if I stay in Sydney any longer and try and see my daughter Marcella, fucking hell, I'll just be fucking back in that family court, back in trying to put me in jail again. Cost me fucking 10 grand to get out of there last time. Fucking expensive expedition. And then last time I went and saw her, I went over to a school and they said I can't see her, so I rang the police. Please come and try and arrest me. I'm like, well, I rung you so I can see my daughter. But they come to the school and try to arrest me. So I'm like, oh, fuck, you cunts are fucking useless. I say, listen, I'm out of here, but, you know, I know what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, that's the system. It's what Biden's doing in America. Biden's doing, it's the same thing New South Wales does. They let all immigrants in, and they just get them in there for voters. They're all voters. They let them all in, and it's their vote. It's their army to keep them in power. Like all he's doing, like Biden at the moment, first executive order was to get all the refugees to back into America, all the illegal ones. They can stay now. Which is like, why did you do that? Because that's 100,000 voters that are going to vote fucking left. The hypocrisy of the left. Everything they do is hypocrisy. It's the same in Australia. That's what they do. That's exactly what's happening. Is exactly what Australia's doing. I go and see my daughter. They try to create a crime out of it. I said, I've fucking every right to see my daughter. Yeah, but if you go, you know, don't worry, mate. The police will be there, and we'll make sure you break a law, so we end up in that family court. That family court's keeping the fucking judicial system alive. It's, you know, that's why they're getting rid of all the cops in America now. They're getting rid of all the cops because the judicial system has learned that when you fund cops, there's too many cops on the street, and what they do is people don't break the law anymore because it's overkill. You know what I mean? Drug court used to be fucking massive, but what happened in Australia is that all the cops, there was nothing left for them to do. It's the only police work around is actually is stopping drugs and people that use drugs, and they've got so much money put into the police force, is that they actually did stop the drugs, and there isn't much drugs around anymore. So without any drugs around, there's no drug court, there's no money in the judicial system that operates in drugs. So they had to go to another avenue, which is domestic. They had to go into the family court. So now, if you yell at your missus, you could be in the family court fucking, you know what I mean? You could be in a family court situation very quickly. and that's money going into the judicial system. That's all it is. But what they're doing in America is the same thing. They're defunding the police. They're not mucking around. They're not giving any more police. They don't want any more police on the streets because it discourages crime. When you live in a police state, the crime is very low. And with the crime's low, the court system's very low. You know what I mean? There's no money coming into the judicial system. So what they got to do is they got to create a high crime area. You know what I mean? They don't. You know what I mean? The only place you get around now is ambulance chasers. They just chase ambulance. You know what I mean? They build cases. Like, you know what I mean? There's no actual police work, detective work going on. So that's the shift. That's all they want. And when they have that, which they already have, there's no room. You don't need all these cops on the fucking street. The only, you know, especially you got the only cops on the street, they're all just revenue chasing cops. They're just chasing revenue, sending out parking tickets and things like that. But you don't need that many for that. So now they're defunding the police. They don't want police on the streets. That way, their judicial system and their court system becomes really big. And when it's really big, that's, you know, that's where the money is. That's all it is. Well, anyway, I've had enough of the bloody. I've had enough of Sydney, trying to see my daughter and getting in trouble for it because fucking hell. You know, that's it. I can't they do everything they want to do that anyway. Well, that's about it. Fucking rainy day out here. Australia. Everything we do is just follow America. That's why Australian politics is so simple to see, and it's just so ridiculous after you watch American politics. It's like, listen, whatever America does, we're gonna do. You know what I mean? We're that's all we do. We're nothing similar. I mean, we are similar. We're not independent of them. We just do whatever the fuck they're gonna do. That's the show. That's the problem. Free world, you know, it's all globalists now. All the globalists run the whole world. They run the medical system, they run the police system, they run the court system, they run the prison system, they run the food system, they run the farming system. They took over all the farms in India. No fucking free farms. I don't want all you guys farming your own seeds, you know what I mean? They're coming in there, they took all their farms. Look, that's globalist, mate. They're like, no more farming for you blokes. We'll run the farms from now on. But, yeah. That's what you do. They're just saying one government. There is no borders anymore. At the same time, they close the borders. You know what I mean? There's no borders for them. They don't see countries anymore. They just see where resources and where their companies are and all that. They have no borders. But what do they do to the people? They give people borders, you know? That's what they don't want people just jumping on planes and taking off into another countries and going interstate. They don't want people doing that. They're like, you guys stay put. We don't have any borders. We're globalists. You know, we run the whole world basically. And the way we do it is we stop you guys from moving around. But we don't even see countries anymore. We just see resources and where whatever we want to do with the world. We don't have a country. We're countryless. But when you're rich, that's what you are. That's what you do.